Hello, hello,
Yes. Evening, good
hello.
evening. Welcome to another
Yes,
Wednesday.
yes, this is season 11, episode 14 of Let's Have a Fifi. I cannot believe it. More than 10 years of your Wednesday night conversation. Welcome to Let's Have a Fifi. I'm Felicia Fifi Minor, and over
Um,
there looking like a fairy tale character.
I'm Freddie Prince Charming, and yes, this is my real hair.
You, you had that much hair even growing on your
I'm on a
chin.
new hair restoring treatment,
Um,
and this is the results of 2 days worth. You're welcome.
2 days worth.
Yep.
I'm gonna call bullshit
It
on
just
that. Wow. Wow.
Look, I
No.
need to know
2 days
that
worth.
secret there.
2 days worth. My long flowing locks.
There'd be some black girls that would want to know what the hell you did to get that hair.
Yes.
Because
But it only grows out like this. You can't change it. This is what you get.
I mean, I know some
Doesn't
girls
matter
that
who
would be
you
like,
are. This
that's
is the hair you
okay.
get. That's just what it is.
They would be okay with that.
You could be Japanese. You use it, and all of a sudden you've got long, straight blonde hair. Sorry.
This is my hair too, then. Shoot. Uh, uh, with that being said, let's welcome our special guest, actor, entertainer, and host, Kathy Blaze Jefferson.
Woo, hello there, everyone.
Yes.
Where's
I
our
wish we
sound
had.
effects?
There
Yeah,
you
that's
go.
terrible.
But you had a fabulous intro, though.
Yes. I wonder who did that.
Me, I did it
Oh,
with this hair.
See, I'm going to have to get some of that hair if it does intros like that. Oh,
oh my god, okay. You can get exclusive content. We'll be talking to Kathy later, so you can get exclusive content later on. And you can find that on patreon.com/let's have a fifi. And we'd like to thank our patrons. We'd like to thank Brandon D, Drake Jensen, Casey Starr, Carrie and Corey, Kim, Joan, Leanne, Nicole, and Shannon for supporting us on the Patreon.
We appreciate you.
Even more than you know. Special thanks to Success Boutique and LC Designs, as well as Wigs of a Kind for supporting us as well. You too can support us by tipping and sponsoring us at
I'm not wearing one. I'm
paypal.me/let's
not
have a
terrible. I'm not wearing wigs or jewelry from makeup. Yes, but wigs and jewelry, no, not today. Wigs and jewelry are
I'm wearing
compliments
the
of
wig,
the hair, and the
makeup.
necklace was actually from Dylan, and then the earrings are from Amazon. Yay.
Oh, the Amazon.
Mm.
And you can text LHAF to 602-730-7379 for text alerts about the show. And if you're on Facebook, be sure to tap that star. And every time you give us a star, we get like a penny for every star. It adds up. We have $7.19 so far this year. You too can support a drag king and a drag queen somehow.
Yeah.
$7.19.
It's fine.
We'd like to
It's
thank folks
fine.
like DJ Image, Eddie Omega, Emily, and Laura Renfro for dropping the coinage on the Facebooks. How was your weekend?
I'm trying to figure out how to share this video, and it's not letting me do
Oh,
it.
well, I'll ask Kat.
My weekend was actually fairly
Oh,
uneventful. We did manage to get some Friday the 13th tattoos, which was kind of cool. Just sort of happen chance. We weren't going to be able to, and then we happened to like walk by a place, and I guess I was nice enough that they were originally they were already booked up, but they let us hang out for a little bit, so we ended up getting some. Um,
oh
and then
wow.
sex trivia was on Saturday. That's always a good time. And then just
It
kind of
was packed.
like it, oh my god, yes, it was full, like people were standing. It was great. But I mean, I basically just enjoyed the rainy weekend. I had a day off on Monday, because like a couple years ago, I think CVS decided to start recognizing Martin Luther King Day, which is good.
Oh,
um
good for them. Hmm.
right, so I had a day off on Monday, and I got my hair cut and just kind of didn't do much. I was actually able to kind of
Mm,
enjoy the rainy weather, which I was not mad about.
yes.
How was
So
your weekend?
uh
Oh, I am trying to
I
like I'm also like trying to get back into the habit of like trying to walk every day. I used to walk all the time. All the time. And I
then
haven't
your legs fell
because
off.
I got lazy because I don't need to walk my dogs anymore. I just let them out in the backyard. Like I don't need to
Oh, that's
physically walk
right.
them. So I'm trying to
Oh,
get back into the habit. Wednesdays I don't do it, and then when it's raining, obviously I can't really. But I'm trying to get back into the habit of like after work, as soon as I log out, I go and put like shoes on, and then go and do the thing. So um, I'm trying to do that because I am of a certain age. And I'm like, everything hurts and I'm dying, and it's because I'm in my mid 40s.
Well,
So,
remember to do your stretching.
I see, and that's the other thing too. I'm terrible at that. So I need to get like we need to replace our yoga mat. So that's on the
Mhm.
list to do so that we can actually start stretching and things, because my lower back is fucking killing me when I
Ah,
breathe. So it's like it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. I'm middle aged. I get it. You don't have to like keep reminding me. How was your weekend, Kathy? Did you do anything interesting? Did you have a day off on Monday?
I did. You know what? I just Netflixed and watched movies this weekend.
Fan fucking tastic.
I try not to plan things because when I do, then it ends up failing last minute. I'll say I'm not going, so I go at the spur of the moment. I like surprises. but this
I get
week,
that. I get that.
but this weekend, I was like you. I enjoyed the weather. I mean, it was very nice. Spent time with family and just relaxed. I enjoyed it.
Those are I feel I'm one of those people that tends to feel guilty if I have a day off and I'm not doing things like even if it's something like
accomplishing
dishes or
something.
laundry or something, like I always
Um,
feel guilty if I'm not doing something.
Why
And
is that?
my I don't know. I because probably past relationship trauma. That's why.
mm,
Um but my partner was very much like, no, this is your day off. Do something that makes you happy. So until I went and got my hair cut, like I sat around and played some video games, and I didn't do anything. So that was nice. Oh, and I did feed friends. That's right. We had some friends over for lunch on Sunday. So
well,
I did feed
Freddie, I'm
friends.
all for self care days. If you
They're
have a day, if
necessary.
you have a day off, you take it and you enjoy it because you
Yeah.
know
Hmm.
what? We're so busy working Monday, well, 7 days a week, pretty much. I mean, if we're not working at outside of the home, we're working inside of the home,
Right.
whether it's texting, typing on the
Mhm.
computer, we're doing something. So we need
Right.
that self-care day. So that laundry will be there the next day. That's
Oh,
my
Lord, yes, it
mindset.
will. Jesus. Ugh.
Ooh, until it starts piling up.
Oh,
Mm-mm.
yeah. but
How was your weekend, Felicia?
Good, good. We did sex trivia. I loved how busy it was on Saturday, but before sex trivia, because I like to punish myself and do all of my passions all in one day.
Yeah.
Um, I photographed a quinceañera, and then the people that I was photographing for were nice enough to let me get ready at the venue.
But they didn't feed you.
I can't say. Maybe it was a trade for a trade. Maybe they didn't feed me because they were like, if you want to get ready here.
You know what? I'm just going to say this. If y'all hire a photographer, I don't care what kind of fucking thing it is, whether it's a quinceañera, whether it's a wedding, whatever it is, feed your photographer and let them eat the real food, not some half-ass stupid like sandwich that you wouldn't give your guests. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. Just saying. I'm just going to throw that out there because that is
Should
a
I include
huge
that
pet
in my
peeve of mine.
contracts now? Should I say you will feed the
Well,
photographer?
you shouldn't, and you shouldn't have to do that. I mean, I was at an event, New Year's Eve weekend. I worked the registration desk, and dinner was included at the event. So security was standing around, other people that were working was standing around. So one of the other registration ladies went back there and grabbed them a plate while they were standing out. I mean, why
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't they be eating also like the rest of the crowd? So yes,
Seriously.
feed your photographer. Feed
I
feed your
like
ancillary staff.
feed your people, seriously, because
Yes.
it's like, and when I say like feed them the real food, like my ex was a photographer. She was a professional photographer, and she would do weddings fairly often. And 9 times out of 10, sometimes they would give the photographers what they were eating, but 9 times out of 10, it would be some like fucking Subway sandwich or some shit, like something that nobody else was eating.
Mm.
But
Mm-hmm.
it's like, here, you can have this. And it's like,
I will say
really?
this is my first time probably not eating at an event that I photographed. Because, yeah, I've done a couple weddings and they usually say, oh, don't worry, you know, we don't need photos of this part or whatever. And they'll say, go sit down or whatever.
Right.
And usually, if the wedding planner is eating, then I kind of be like, hey, what are you eating?
And be like, I'm gonna make
You
you
know
a
what?
plate
I
on the
think
camera.
they forget about those people when they're, say, counting their numbers for plates and things like that. They forget about the photographer, the
They
DJs, and
definitely
those
do.
people that's going to be there serving also. But you know
Right.
what? They're a part of the party. They shouldn't be forgotten about.
Right. And I
Absolutely.
guarantee you your photographer's gonna do a much better job if you feed them.
Hmm.
You know,
And not be so
saying,
spacey.
right? Low blood sugar.
And I got my nails done.
Pretty.
Ooh. Oh, you fixed the
Yeah.
one that was broken. Good job.
There were multiples that were broken. So,
Terrible. Terrible.
yes, I feel a little bit like myself now. The other thing that needs to happen is my hair. My hair is like pushing this wig off of my head.
Oh, Jesus.
So
I know. I have
yeah.
the same problem.
Oh, because you use that growth
Yes,
stimulator.
I did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So my tip tonight, I don't have a good segue for it because it has nothing to do with anything. But I was no, she didn't ask for my input on
I didn't
Miguel
ask
Shannon.
anybody.
I was very hurt. Not that she ever takes any of my suggestions anyway, but whatever. Um Just rude. So I had a conversation with somebody at one point over the weekend, and that's what kind of triggered this tip for tonight. And I'll talk a little bit about being an alternative parent, for lack of a better term. I'm like, I don't know what the hell to
Ooh.
call it. So alternative parent, it works. So we all know being a parent in general is tough. You have all these things that you're supposed to do to make sure your kids don't grow up to be serial killers and are productive members of society.
Sometimes they're one and the same.
Right.
Mhm.
You know, being a bonus parent, i.e., a step parent or whatever, that can be even
Yay.
tougher. because you want to do all the right things, but you don't necessarily want to overstep, especially if the other parents are still in the picture, but you still want to be seen as a parental figure and, kind of acknowledged as such. And then you add in other factors. So then especially with like folks like in our line of work, right? So you add in things like drag,
Photography.
burlesque, photography, being trans, being poly, being pansexual, being kinky, whatever other labels are in there that might not fit within the sort of cisgender heteronormative monogamous, like just the regular day-to-day stuff that everybody expects things to fit into.
Mm-hmm.
And then things get even more interesting. So the other day I actually had a friend ask me about how to talk to her kiddo about she and her husband having an open marriage, which this isn't a new thing. They've been open.
Mm-hmm.
um they haven't had like relationships outside their marriage for a while, just because of different circumstances, and it just
Thanks, COVID.
hasn't, right, like it just hasn't happened for a while, which Lord knows do I understand that shit. So she currently has another play partner, and things are going well, and it looks like there's potential for it to go somewhere, which means that there's a chance that they'll be at the house at some point. She's already gone once or twice a week with like an overnight bag, so she figured like it's time to have the talk. And her kid's not little by any means. Her kid's
Mm.
in their teens, and so it's like, it's not like you're trying to have this conversation with an 8-year-old, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, how do you have that talk? Because she's never talked to their kid about this. And how and when is it a good time to talk about things like doing drag, being a burlesque performer, which is essentially a stripper, being trans or being open or being poly. Like, when do you talk to them about this, and how? And oh my God, like all the things, what do you do?
Mm.
And
So my kids were little when I started drag, like 3 and 5 or 6. So I mean, they often looked at me very confused when
yeah,
you cover your brows and now you look like you got like. But they grew up with it, so um,
it's not a
it
big
was
deal.
yeah. So
Mm.
now when I do it, it's not a. I mean, of course, after 15 years, of course, they've gotten used to it. But even Lily is, I think she's used to it. She doesn't ask what's happening. She just says, "Oh, okay, you putting makeup on." Mm-hmm.
It's like, whatever. Our My partner says that our youngest today said in the car, Mom, it's so cool that at our house it's just like, I'm going to a drag show or burlesque show, like it's nothing, because other houses don't, and they don't. And obviously, how and when you talk to kids about things, I mean, it's going to vary from person to person, family to family, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
in general, my advice would be, if you don't make it a big deal, it's not a big deal. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing, is that if you don't make it a thing, then it's not a thing. Um, like, I don't think it was any big deal when, I'm not even sure how my partner told the kids about me doing drag or whatever. Like, but I don't, obviously I don't really care. I don't give a shit.
I feel
Um,
like she's very frank and very honest up front. There's
we
no like
Right,
sugar.
and I mean, we are, like, that's one of the things, is that we're very open with the
Mm-hmm.
kids. Like, so part of like not making a big deal out of it is just sort of normalizing things. So like, if you're, say, you're poly, or you're in an open marriage or open relationship or whatever, and you're trying to explain it to your kids, and it can be something as simple as, how you love multiple people in your family. You love your mom, your parents, your dad, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, your siblings. You love all of those people. You
Mm-hmm.
can't, it's not like, well, if you love one of them, you can't love another one. And
Oh, I
so
forgot
you
you were
can
stalking before. That's
correct.
right.
Um so like you can use that as an example. It's like, so basically that's what it means for us. Like if we had to explain, I think it would be something similar to this. We don't have to because the kids already know, but it would be like, that's kind of what it means to be poly for us. We're able to love more than just each other, because there's love is not finite. It's not, if you love this person, you can't love this person over here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, love is finite, whether it's a platonic love, a family type of love, whatever. It's not finite. Um so, just, and it doesn't have to be like a big, okay, we're gonna have this big long talk and we're gonna explain. It doesn't have to be a big deal.
Oh, that's
um
creepy.
and like
Did y'all's
trying to
parents have
like
talks like that?
mine.
Yeah.
You must be kidding. My dad didn't, there was no talk about anything. There was no talk about sex. There was no talk about anything. Like, there was no nothing, which I'm surprisingly, I turned out okay for the most part.
Depends on the day and who you're asking.
Cause like, well, as far as that goes,
Mm-hmm.
if you're talking to your kids about being, bisexual or pansexual or, whatever, it's like, it if they if they know that you're poly or whatever, and they know that mom has like another girlfriend, you can be like, okay, well, I also have a boyfriend and a girlfriend. It's like, it's like, it's not that big a deal. If
Mm-hmm.
you love, you have the potential to love everybody. That's totally okay. um if you're talking about like questions that are coming from the kids about being trans or the trans experience and things like that, there are ways to answer without being too detailed, and they'll ask if they need more information. So
Mm.
this is funny. Okay, so for the onesie party, right? I was running around in a onesie, and before the show started, I had to run back in because I had to pee. And I run back in, and one of the kids is sitting in the dining room, which is right inside the sliding glass door. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I have to pee." He's like, "Just pee in the yard." I'm like, "If I did that, I would have to take this whole thing off." He said, "That's not how it works." I said, "No, that is how it works," as I'm like walking in the back. And he's like, "No, it's not," because he argues about everything.
Uh-huh.
Meanwhile, the one of the other kids, the oldest boy, is sitting in the living room with my partner, and I go in the back, and I do my thing, and he kind of sitting there. I guess he has this look on his face, and he's like, "So does he not pee like me?" And my partner's like, "No, he
Mm.
doesn't." So he took a second. "Does he pee like you?" My partner's like, "Yes." Huh. The more you know. And that was it. So like, it was like, it's not a big deal, but all of a sudden, because
I got news for you.
the
I pee like you too, since
his
we're sharing.
brother, for some reason, has it in his head that I'm trans because I wanted to pee standing up, which apparently he seems to think
Oh.
that as soon as you're trans, things just boop appear. Not
Oh.
quite how that works. In some ways, that would be very convenient if that was how that worked, because oh my god, like, that would make my life so much easier in a lot of ways. But that's not how it works. So like, right, see, that's literally why I became trans, so I could pee standing up. Dude, that's not how that works. But so like, there's ways to have this conversation, and if he had needed more information, like, they know that they can ask if there's something, like, if
Mm-hmm.
he you could see in his head, he's like, the wheels turning, and he is like, okay, I get it. um so there was a not quite so awkward conversation about things like transgender genitals that could have gone completely sideways, but it didn't. um but
How do we get the
it
Republicans to understand?
Right? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's super easy. It's really not that complicated. Just this is the way it is.
Maybe
Like, it doesn't
that's
have to
why
be
they're
a
mad, because
thing.
they don't want to share the bathroom with you because they think you're gonna pee standing up next to them.
Right. Like, and it's like, and the thing is, and that they know that they can ask, whether it's about that or whether it's about anything else. They know that they can ask. Like, you know, when it comes to being kinky, I will say that might need to be a conversation for a later date. I have a feeling that as they get older, the kids will I mean, they saw me leave for Wax-A-Bear and come back from Wax-A-Bear dressed in leather, but also I'm an entertainer, so they probably didn't think like I could probably leave the house dressed. They don't think twice now when I leave the house dressed as anything because they don't know what the fuck it's whatever. It's but at some point either they're gonna show up at the house when they're not supposed to be here and we'll be ready to go to like a fetish event or something and we'll be dressed like we're ready to go to like a fetish or a kink event or something, and then I'm sure that'll be a discussion at some point. But
Mhm.
it, at some point I'm sure there will be some sort of a conversation we'll have to, but we are very open with the kids about sex, about being poly, about both of us being pan, about being trans, that not everything needs to be a thing. And if you start talking to your kids early, if you start educating them early, they'll be well prepared as they go into being young adults and into adulthood. They'll I'm waiting for, and I've said this, like when our youngest is in sex ed at some point and the teacher is going to say something that's going to be wrong or incorrect or will be some sort of misinformation, and she's going to go, actually that's not right, and then we're going to get a call that she's being argumentative in sex ed, and the response is not going to be what the teacher's expecting, because we're going to be like, well, was she right? Because if she was right, then what's the problem? That she was arguing? Well, I'm sorry if you're giving out misinformation. But
We already have people that fail the middle
right,
school sex
middle
ed
school
part of
sex ed,
sex
right?
trivia. So
So we're hoping that yes, the kids get annoyed when we talk about things sometimes. They're like, oh my god, we know, but
that's nature.
also
Mm.
we're hoping that this will at least set them up to be like successful and smart in adulthood, and be the good people and be knowledgeable about things, and
Mhm.
not think it's a big deal if a friend comes out as trans or whatever, and that's our goal really. So, but I mean,
I feel
I would
like
say
only because I'm around teenagers, I feel like it's less of like a oh my gosh now, because now it's just it just happens and people are like, yeah, I'm trans, and then like the whole group is like, oh yeah, and then using proper pronouns, name correction, uh like going for it, like um in fact the other day I heard or overheard, because I was supposed to be like going somewhere else, but I overheard a conversation that someone was picking their name, and I was like, but you're not supposed to be like listening because
right.
like the adult and
Yeah, don't be
ugh.
nosy.
But I was so like to have that moment that you can be yourself, and like your
Mm-hmm.
friend is helping you pick your name, and like, oh, when I was a
Like I
kid that
said,
would
it's
never
only a big
happen.
deal if you make it a big deal.
Mhm.
Freddie,
So it's like,
I like that you're honest with your children.
I think it's important. Like, there's no reason to, like, I guess, sugarcoat things, or like there's no reason for it, and like the kids are all teenagers now and everything, but their mom, even before I came along, their mom was open and honest with them about things. Because if you hide something, for me, that says that it's something that should be hidden. It's something that
Mm,
is, shameful. And I don't I don't think that's the case, whether you're talking about sex or whether you're talking about, whatever. Like, sex is a thing. Everybody's gonna have sex at some point. Like, it's just a thing and what it is. And it's like, if you talk about it and normalize it, then you end up with kids that understand things like consent, and they understand that, they understand being able to put up boundaries, and they understand that just because
Mhm.
the person that you're sleeping with says they're on birth control doesn't mean you shouldn't use a condom. Like, they
right.
understand these things because you've just, it's normal. It's like, okay, well, these are the things that happen if you get in a situation, we'll let us know. We'll pick you up from the party if you find yourself in a really shitty situation. We'll
Mm.
If you think something's going to happen, if you need condoms, we'll give you condoms. Like, there's I would rather that they feel comfortable asking questions than not, and hiding, and then ending up in some sort of trouble, whether that's getting somebody pregnant, being pregnant, getting an STI, whatever it is. It's like, there's no reason
Mhm.
to not be honest with kids, especially now. Like,
Mm.
it's things are so different than from when we were kids. Jesus Christ. Like, ugh, I don't even want to think about
Yeah.
the sex ed, that you get on the playground back in, 30 something years ago.
That's
Ugh.
that's still happening, but,
Oh,
I
I know. Trust me. That's why I'm like, and now all their information comes from TikTok. So it's like,
Mm.
oh,
I mean,
Yeah,
all
I
the
think
information
that
on
it
TikTok
sets
is
them up
wrong.
for failure when you're not open and honest with them and let them
absolutely.
know what's going on in your household, because there's going to come a time when someone else in another household that's different is going to say something to them that's going to really shock them. That
Right.
happened to a good friend of mine. He's my godson, and he told me that he's like, Auntie, I didn't know for years that this person, he said, I didn't know she was a girl. I always thought she was a man. And for him to just come and talk to me about that, there was something going on with him. So, I mean, I just listened to him. I mean, I didn't want to overstep my
Right.
boundaries. So I just listened to him and let him explain to me what he was talking about. But we need to make sure that our children, if our household is maybe not the norm as people see it, we need to make sure that our children know it is our norm,
Right.
and
Mm.
explain what's going on in our household. My household is set up this way, is done this way. I don't know what happens at Susie's house, but this is the way Kathy's house is ran, and this is who we are as a family. Okay,
Right.
Mhm.
we have to do that with our children. I'm glad you brought this up because I had witnessed something today, so I'm glad you brought that tip up today.
It's I think it's about normalizing things, because just because something isn't done somewhere else doesn't mean that it's wrong or bad. It just means it's different. That's all.
Correct.
Mhm.
And I think that's important. Speaking of wrong and different, though,
Do we have to?
oh my
Uh,
god.
in the news, George Santos is at it again. We're going to talk about George Santos a lot tonight, so let's just buckle up real quick. So now he's being accused of taking $3,000 from a GoFundMe for a sick dog.
Oh,
Mm. He promised to raise funds to care for a homeless vet's pit bull and set up a GoFundMe account. After raising over $3,000, the vet never got the money.
wow.
As a side note, they knew Santos under a different name. Is this the real name?
Yeah, yeah. This is his name. This was the name he was using.
Anthony DeVolder. And I mm, and his ex roommate was kind of the one that was like, he's not really Jewish, and he used a Jewish name, and so like something's not right here.
He's oh my god, and there's gonna be more on. In other news, just sort of a the world's oldest person, Sister Andre, she was a French nun, died today. She was 118 years old, if you can believe that shit.
She has seen
118.
life.
I'm just trying to make it like to 45 without my knees giving out on me. Like, God, I can't even
Something
imagine
tells me she did.
118.
I have a feeling that she had those aches and pains, but I think she just lived past them. But that is a very fulfilling life, it looks like.
Yes, very much.
Yeah. Um, but not fulfilling is the people in Rio Verde, an Arizona suburb outside of Scottsdale, had its water shut off by a neighboring supplier.
The fuck?
City of Scottsdale turned off their water because they're trying to reserve water.
I can't. In
Make it make sense.
Oh my god. In politics, Trump is now criticizing evangelicals for not endorsing his 2024 presidential run, calling them disloyal after some evangelical leaders have said that Trump is hurting us, not helping us, because they finally clued in that he's a real piece of shit, and they need to not be associated with him. They're bad enough on their own. They don't need him making them worse.
They were like, we were trying to do our thing, but when you came in, you kind of like killed the vibe. And so we need to go back to doing like the overly hype thing that
Right.
we were doing in the first
Yeah.
place, but not have you in it.
He said he was just doing too much.
They said you're doing way more than we were, and so we need you to back up a little bit, and we're gonna go on and do our own thing now. So peace out. I couldn't believe this when you put this in here. So George is back. George Santos. Good old George Santos. He has been given space on the space on the Science, Space, and Technology Committee and the Small Business Committee. How is this making sense? We lied on a resume and we're on the Small Business Committee. We stole money. So we're going to help manage the money for the space and technology systems.
I cannot. The Republicans are making me crazy at this point. I don't even know. In North Dakota, I don't, man. I'm like, what the hell? Like, they know, and they flat out say, they're like, yeah, we're not super thrilled with him, but we're gonna go ahead. He is here, so we're gonna go ahead and let him have that. I'm like, okay, y'all just keep digging your own grave. You just right on. Here's the shovel. You just keep your whatever.
Well, it's them making excuses for him, just like they did for Trump. Remember?
Right. And the thing is that there's even more proof here than there is for like. There's literal like I don't even understand. I can't right now. I'm just
people coming out of the woodwork quicker than he can turn the.
It blows my mind. I don't even get it. A North Dakota ban on sexually explicit books would mean up to 30 days in jail for librarians who ignore the ban. Sexually explicit in this case basically means books that talk about sexual or gender identity.
Like books we read for a drag story hour.
Right.
Clink, clink. Lock me up.
I don't even.
Is this 1984?
Yes.
Is this Fahrenheit 451?
Yes. It's also Idiocracy.
So you're saying you could get arrested for having those types of books?
Yes.
In North
Dakota. in North Dakota. And if you are a librarian and you decide that you want to keep carrying those books in your library, you can get up to 30 days in jail for that as well.
Wow.
I mean, that's not bad. 30 days in jail for 3 meals. Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, because food prices are going up pretty high.
This is true. I mean, you think about the price of eggs, Jesus,
I may be going to the
yeah,
library tomorrow.
right? This
Excuse
Easter,
me, I
everybody's going to
have
be
this
coloring
book.
potatoes, right?
I have this book.
I'm
They say
turning myself in.
the feds will say, "We heard you on Let's Have a Fifi."
Right.
Oh my God.
Save money on groceries. Go spend 30 days in jail in North Dakota. You're welcome.
More than 100 anti-LGBTQ TQ bills have been filed in 22 states so far in 2023,
It is January 18th. I'd like to remind everybody of that.
which means they were working on this before January even
About 2
started.
weeks, or about 2 weeks currently. Barely 3 weeks into the new year.
36 of those are from Texas and 26 are from Missouri. I want to point out that those are all wonderful drag states.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
And in Arkansas,
I was waiting for this one.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders has banned the term Latinx from being used in government.
When?
You must
On her
say
first day.
Latino or Hispanic. You cannot say Latinx because let's talk about the real issues.
Yeah, on her first day.
Good thing she's
First.
handling the important shit. I cannot.
Yes. In better news, Columbia University names. I don't know why I put this in here. I can't say the names.
Nimat Shafiq.
Oh, wonderful! That's great. Yeah.
Welcome.
As president, and she will be the first woman president to lead the university. So,
Hey, that's kind of
way
cool.
to go, Columbia. I
Only
wanted
took
to,
how
I didn't get
long?
to do more research, but I wanted to see who the presidents, past and present, were for like Harvard and Yale and all of those to see if this is a thing. Like,
Probably. Because, we don't like educated women.
oh,
Because if you're educated and you're a woman, then you start to have things like opinions.
Mm.
We don't want opinions. No.
oh my gosh. But yes,
Speaking about
that is the
opinions,
yeah, let's move on to our special guest, actor, entertainer, and host of Desert Wood Days, Kathy Blaze Jefferson. Hello.
Hello
yay!
there.
Yes, it's your turn. Um,
Okay.
yes. So tell us about yourself and how did you get to where you are today?
Ooh, because I was a bad girl. No.
Oh,
Well,
I'm listening.
I I initially started off. First off, I'm a native of Arizona. I initially started off as a plus size model, and I was signed with an agent here in Arizona. I'm not naming any names, but I never got any work. And it wasn't because of the agents, it was because Arizona isn't a market for plus size modeling. We just don't
Mm.
have a
Mm.
market for it here.
I,
So I,
I would think you would probably have two things working against you here: the fact that you were a plus size model and the fact that you were a person of color.
Mm.
Because Arizona,
yes, we're not going to speak on that, but yes, you're right.
Mm.
So I spent a lot of time having to go outside of Arizona to work. I spent
Mm.
a lot of time going to California, working. I had a couple of designers that I worked with regularly, and I'm thankful for them that they entrusted me to represent their brands. So they are two that really got me started doing what I'm doing today. And one of them is, I don't know if you've heard of his name, is it's called Norel Apparel.
Oh, yes.
Okay, LaRon,
Yeah.
Ron, Dwayne, whatever name he's using right now, but it's Narelle Apparel. One is called Treasure Utopia. They do African prints, and both of them they do very nice work. So, but they entrusted me to be a part of their team and showcase their products. So I'm very thankful to them. But that wasn't enough for me. I got tired, burnt out going to California, traveling outside of my home where there should be plenty of work. Also being a mother and having to leave my child with my mom or whomever was watching her while I was traveling. I got really burnt out on that. Then from that point with my agency, I entered into this competition in California, and there was about 50 countries there at this event. It was the World Championship of Arts, and I entered in this competition for modeling and acting. And I was
Mm.
thinking, oh, what in the hell? Why did I let these people talk me into getting into this thing? And I had nerve to even get into the bathing suit competition. At that time in my life, I wasn't really secure in myself, really
Mhm.
confident in my body and who I was as a person. And that stemmed from childhood. So I still wasn't confident at that time. So here I am in this line getting ready to go on this stage in front of all these people to perform in a bathing suit. My
Mhm.
heartbeat is just pumping really fast. And I'm thinking, oh Lord, let me turn around. But I couldn't turn around because there was this line of people behind me. So I say, you know what? This is what I've been training to do. So I got my little happy butt up on that stage. I did my walk, got my accolades from there, and at that moment I say that is when Kathy Blaze was made. That is
Mm.
exactly when Kathy Blaze was made. At that point on, there wasn't anything that could hold me back. There wasn't anything that anyone could say about my body, my skin tone, anything that could take me back to that person that I was before getting on that stage at that event. So won awards for modeling and acting at that event. Came back to Arizona all excited. Ooh, I won awards.
Mhm.
Thinking that's going to help me get gigs here in Arizona.
Ooh, I know that
Wah,
feeling.
wah.
Ha!
You knew where I was going with that, huh, Freddie? So, you know what? At that point, I said, you know what? I had to do something for myself. And one thing that came to my mind is what my grandmother told me: if it's not there for you, you create it yourself.
Mhm.
And that was what I did. I created a plus size modeling company called Blazing Curves because I wanted to work here. So I started creating plus size fashion events, which gave other models a platform to model on as well. But before that happened, it was about me. I always say that it was for selfish reasons. I started that because I wanted to model, I wanted to act. So
But sometimes you have to do that. Like that's, like there it I mean, I'm of the opinion that separate is not always equal,
mm,
Mhm.
but sometimes you have to pull the chair up to the table yourself to.
right,
So I
right.
get that. I get that.
Right. But that was my reasoning for doing that. The first show we had, it was a comedy. I collaborated with a friend of mine. It was a comedy fashion show. Her brother is a comedian, so we brought comedy and we brought fashion in together. That's initially where I met Laron Noral Apparel because he had his designs in there in my
Okay.
show. So at that point I was still working with photographers, putting out content on social media, and people would see my work, and they weren't used to seeing plus size models posing in bathing suits or posing. I mean, just some of the things I was doing. So I would get people messaging me, going, "How can I do what you do?" I mean, I would get husbands messaging me, going, where'd you get your clothes from? Can you help my wife with styling and different things like that?
Oh
Or
wow.
parents messaging me saying my child is being bullied in school because of their weight. Can you maybe talk with them? Or I love what I see you're doing out here in our community. And I'm sitting there thinking, are they talking to me? I'm
Mhm.
like, they're talking to me? Because I still didn't see what I was doing at that point. That
Mhm.
people were watching and seeing that I was making a change in our community here in Arizona. But I still, at that point, wasn't seeing it. But at that point, I started doing more shows and inviting others, models, to work with me on the shows. And at that point, that's when I realized, this thing is bigger than Kathy Blaze. God had a bigger plan. It was for me to help these other individuals that were maybe experiencing some of the things that I had experienced in my childhood, in my life, that had me go through all these insecurities in my life that I went through. So that's when I created Blazing Curves, which gave models, actors a platform to be able to showcase their talent. And sometimes they may have walked once in a show, and that was what they needed. It wasn't about fashion, it was about something that they personally needed. I
Mhm.
had I would have a 40-year-old woman's mother come up to me and thank me and say thank you for what you did to my daughter.
Mhm.
Okay, so at that point, that's what I realized, that we do things. People see, this is what she does. She's a model or she's an actress, but we all have our own journey,
Mhm.
and I'm still living it. And after doing the fashion shows, then you have all the haters, as they call it, going, "Oh, you guys are promoting obesity, promoting big." They started hating on the big girls, or the. Oh, let me also add that I also incorporated large guys in my events also.
Oh
So
nice.
yes, I call them my men of presence. Um, so that was some years ago. So the pronouns were different back then. So where was I going with this? Y'all step in here with me because I lost train of
Ah.
thought here. It's late
So
at night.
after creating
Old folks
Blazing
mind start
Curves.
going backwards.
Uh-huh.
After creating Blazing Curves and with the thing about obesity and stuff like that, it was about also living a healthy life, because
Mhm.
diabetes and a lot of illnesses are in my family, and that those are things that I definitely want to stay away from. I don't want them knocking at my door or anything. So I then at that point started Blaze my health and wellness expos. I started bringing in consultants that dealt with certain types of issues, whether it's for females that's going through issues with their thyroid, or someone that's in the area of diabetes. So I started
Mhm.
having expos just to cover those areas. And that was to show that we are not promoting obesity. We're promoting loving yourself as you are today and getting to where you want to be in your life. So
Mm.
I can say that, what, you can be a size 16 today, but if you're not loving yourself, you're not going to get to where you want to be. If your goal is to get to a 10, because if you don't love yourself, what are you gonna do? You're gonna sit there and not take care of yourself.
Mhm.
Because if you're not loving yourself, a lot of time it's depression. There's something going on that's that have you thinking that way about yourself. So my thing is working with people on loving themselves as they are today. I don't care what you look like, how big you are, how small you are, but loving yourself today. So that's what Blazing Curves stands for. That is our mission.
Mhm.
Then from Blaze and Curve, so I have this whole brand. I call it the Blaze brand. Then I have Blaze Image Consulting, because of the individuals asking me about clothing and styling. So my next goal was to hit our entrepreneurs, because I worked with around so many entrepreneurs, and I would see and hear people, women mostly, saying, well, they're going to have to accept me the way I am. No, they don't. They don't have to accept. You have a business, you want someone to um, collaborate with you, someone to purchase your brand, but they look at you and you don't fit the brand. They're going to move on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the image consulting was, giving them a choice, helping them to see what their image means to others.
Mm-hmm. Amplifying that beauty.
Yes, yes. So all of the Blaze is all about building up self-esteem, confidence, image, loving yourself, acceptance of yourself, who you are. That is what Blazing Curves all stands for. And then after that, then I have the acting, which is another side. I
Okay.
say that's another side of Kathy, because I love being able to be someone else, being able to exude things that I'm feeling to the outside world, giving back to someone else that may need to see something different for the day. So that's why I'm so passionate about acting as well.
How did you get into acting?
I actually started acting when I was doing the modeling, because the agent that I was with believed that a good model should also be an actress also, or an actor also. So
That
I was
makes
Mm-hmm.
also
sense.
studying both of them at the same time.
Wow. Now, you have been busy lately too, because I have seen. But what are some things that you might have worked on in the acting space?
You've met my producer, Mr. Giorgio Bartz.
Mm-hmm.
I've done several films with him. I've also done casting for the producers also. I've worked a lot of areas in the back end, but there was a movie he did some years ago called Pizza Shop the Movie. I was a part of that. There was also, I have, I'm thinking, I think I have like 5 or 6 movies right now that's on Prime. I believe so. I think there's about 5 or 6 on Prime right now. One of them is Pizza Shop. One is called It's about a production company called Little Books, Little Films. This movie, okay, believe it or not, I was pregnant in this movie, carrying twins, going
Oh
to a
my
theater.
god.
What?
Yes, and Big Daddy Kane was a part of this movie. I got to tell you this funny little scene. I had got there on set, and I was walking back to dressing, and I'm walking past this guy, not knowing it was Big Daddy Kane, and
Mm-hmm.
just said hi and kept going. And then he said, "Oh, you dropped something." No, I had already got my fake tummy in. I was walking back, and he said, "Oops, you dropped something." And I bent down. There's nothing. He was just playing a joke, like as if I had my water had bust or something. It was like, then I'm
Oh
like,
no.
oh, I think I know that guy. Maybe he was thinking, you better know who I am.
That would have been me. I'm so bad with like faces and like putting faces to names and things. Like I would have been like, "Motherfucker, what the fuck is your problem?" You're like, "I'm your boss." Ooh, sorry.
Oh, that was a fun and interesting movie. I cannot think of the other guy that was in there. He used to be in one of those old shows years ago. Was it Falcon's Crest or Falcon's something like that?
Mm.
Um, well, not Lorenz. Well, he was in that also. It was one of those, like those old, during the time where Dynasty was out, the old Dynasty.
Mm.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
he
have
was.
to Google now. Let's see.
Yes, you'll know once you
It's
find. You'll know who I'm talking about.
Lorenzo Lamas.
Yes, he was there too. He was
Huh.
in it. He was in it also. And let me see what else. There was a movie. It's called Runners. That was a feature film that was filmed here in Arizona by a production company. It's about these inner city kids that were this Coach Green was taking them out of the inner city away from drugs by getting them into track and field. I really love
Mm.
that one. And in that role, I played this ex crackhead um, who had lost a couple of her children to the streets. And
Mm.
someone said, Kathy, I have never seen you look horrible. I'm like, well, let me show you this picture. Every time someone say that to me, Fefe, I'll break that picture out. But
So Laura says, "I have Prime. I will. I'm assuming I would love to see your work. I will check them out. Check out the
okay,
films. Yeah.
okay, and there's a few of them. There, and all of these are indie films, so most of them you probably won't know, but they're out there. They're out there.
Uh,
I'm all about
so
indie films. I usually enjoy indie films more than like mainstream films for the for the most part.
Yeah.
yes.
Well, you know what? We all have to start somewhere.
I mean, and you got your foot going. So on top of acting, on top of modeling, you also host your own show.
Yes. I
Tell us
hosted
about that.
Yes, I host a talk show called Desertwood Days with Kathy Blaze. It's talk show with a focus on entertainment. We focus on anyone that touches the entertainment field, from filmmakers, from drag performers, from authors, actors, singers, musicians, filmmakers. We've interviewed well over probably 300 guests so far. We had the privilege and the honor of interviewing Miss Felicia here, and it has been such a pleasure
Awesome.
because being a native of Arizona, I know how cliquish our state is. You
Mm.
have people over here on the east side, the west side, the north side, the south side, and a lot of times those hands don't know what each other's doing. Okay.
Hmm.
Most times they're not over here going to support that other hand, even though they're doing the same type of work. And you know what? We could help each other grow by supporting each other. But
Hmm.
for some reason, we don't do that.
No.
And
Well, because
with
it's
my
seen as a competition instead of a co-op or working together.
competition is good. I mean, you know what? I feel like it keeps me on my toes. I mean,
Hmm.
and you know what? And I don't find it as competition as being a bad thing, because you know what, you may be doing something that I've never even thought about doing, a way that but I'm going to bring my own spin to it.
Hmm.
But I don't find it being a bad thing. But I do feel like we should support each other more. I mean, if there's an event going on over here, I mean, why? If I know Felicia or Freddie has something going on, why wouldn't I share your flyer, or why wouldn't I even go out and support you?
Hmm.
But I think that's one of the biggest things that we're lacking here. But one of the things that I love about our show is we're giving Arizonans the opportunity to see who's out there, because I've had a lot of guests say, this is my first time doing an interview or something like this. So that's getting them going. They have some footage, they have something to show. They've talked about what they
Mhm.
do out here, or someone, a producer, or someone, they may be a singer, a songwriter, someone out there see what they're doing. So I love that we're given that opportunity for them to be showcased and showcase their talent. It gives us a idea of who's out here. I've met so
Right.
many people I have never heard of before. So I love that we do this.
I think it's
Wonderful.
fantastic. I think that I absolutely think you're right. Is that there's not enough like cross support out there. Like we'll support our own little bubble over here, but if you don't
Hmm.
fit in with this little like click, then we really don't care. And if it
Right,
doesn't benefit
right,
me, why am I going to support you?
Right. And this, and it's not just one industry. It's like they're all that way. Whether it's in fashion, it's in film, music, it's all that way. You hear it from all the different industries.
Mhm. So, uh, who has been, and don't say me because that's not true. Who has been like the most memorable guest that you've had on your show?
Oh, I hate when folks ask me that question.
I'm glad I asked.
You know why? Because there's so many. Let me look, cover my little bra up over here. Let me flashing on this. Let's have a Fefe. That's not what that means, huh?
Mhm.
um,
They've seen
you know
worse,
what?
trust me.
You you know what? I usually go back and look at them and see the ones that made me laugh the hardest. I mean, I'm like, but I have to say one that I enjoyed was this little lady. She's one of the golden grannies for the
Mm.
Phoenix Mercury's and Phoenix Suns. And she just was the sweetest little lady. And I don't she was gonna show us one of her move, and all of a sudden I noticed she done jumped up off the couch and started shaking her behind and said, I'm like,
Ah!
oh Lord.
Mhm.
Oh my god, that's fantastic.
But we've to the point where we had a little 8-year-old sitting on the show. I'm sitting there watching him. He had his little leg crossed and he was talking like a 40-year-old man. Like, and his brother was going to be interviewed next. And no, actually the big brother was interviewed first. And he was sitting out there watching. And he's like, he was saying things about his brother, and his brother was just like covering his face up, and it's like, just everyone is so different. It's hard to say. I mean, I can pick out things. I mean, just like the little boy.
Mhm.
I I've had I for the first time when I had a singer come on and serenade me. So I mean, there's been so many great guests on the show, so many that I've enjoyed. From one to a young lady that she's a singer, and her partner, her wife, was sitting in the audience, and she was talking about how long they've been married. And that day she was on our show, it was their anniversary, and
Oh
Oh.
wow.
she started to cry when she was speaking about her wife. So I mean, that was a very emotional moment right there. So it's been, I mean, just so many different guests. From the one that was, we had a guest that was speaking about his father that was, um, I believe he was talking about the Holocaust. He's an author and he wrote books about his dad.
Oh wow.
You know what? At first, I was thinking, how was I going to get through that, and with questions and things. But it wasn't just about that. It was about the love and the time that he shared with his dad. So those are the
Mm.
things that really got me to pull out more from him.
Mm.
We've had so many. There is so much talent here in Arizona. That is what I'm saying. That I love that we're able to showcase so many people. To the young guy that he calls himself a vegan rapper. You may think
Ah!
a vegan rapper,
Vegan rapper. That's interesting.
but when you listen to his music and you listen to him speak, I mean, it all makes sense.
Mm.
To the
Hmm.
young man that came on a show, and he's was he the singer? No, he's an actor. And at first I was thinking, what is wrong? What is something? I mean, is he shy, or I mean, am I making him nervous or what? And then he started to tell me that when he gets nervous, and it used to happen to him when he was a kid, that he would start to stutter really bad. So, but he knew how
Mm.
to pull it back, and he started to he removed it. I mean, he just fought it, and he got rid of it during that interview. He
Oh
said he
wow.
wasn't nervous, and he fought it back. So I mean, it's just been so many amazing folks in there on our show. So it's really hard to really name one from our drag performers. Miss Felicia, Miss Mia. I
Mm.
enjoyed having both of them on there, not just because I'm here with Felicia, but I enjoyed having both of them on the show. It was such a pleasure. I don't know if you know who Miss Joyce Bailey is.
Mm-mm.
Todd Bailey, do you know who Todd is? His
Mm.
mother, she came on and she sang for me also.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been a pleasure to have so many talented folks here in our community. I mean, that's really doing a lot in our community. From Mr. Lloyd Hopkins, he has a nonprofit that he works really hard to make sure that the teachers have supplies in their rooms for their children. I
Mm.
mean, there is a lot that's going on, and you may say, "Well, it's an entertain." And I always like to bring this up. Folks may say that, "Well, your show is an entertainment show. What does he have to do with entertainment?" Well, that's a part of what he does in his life. He also manages entertainers. So that
Oh
is
Mm.
how
wow.
I originally know him, is from managing entertainers. To our comedians, we've had lots of comedians on our show. Um, we've had media personnel from people that do the makeup, the FX makeup.
Mhm.
Ooh, it's been a lot of people that's done some amazing thing in here in Arizona, and things that we hear from the award show, the gospel award show. I mean, we have a mixture. You know what? We're not one of those shows where, we only have secular music, or we only have this type of entertainment. No, we bring it all together. We're about community.
I
Okay.
love that.
If you're not
Mhm.
about community, and if you're out there causing hell, can I say hell?
Yeah,
you're out
yeah.
there you're out there causing hell in our community, we really don't want to entertain you on our show.
That's right.
And that is perfectly fair. I wouldn't want to either. I'd be like, yeah.
But a lot of times people forget, but you may forget that you hurt someone or you did something to someone, but once it gets out there in the community doesn't forget.
Mm.
If
Right.
you haven't made up for that, or you haven't made amends or whatever, the community never forgets.
You're right. You're right.
Lord, ain't that the truth?
Kathy, where can people find you on the social medias?
Okay, everything is under Kathy Blaze Jefferson. You can find, if you want to look at some of our previous shows of Desertwood Days, which airs Monday through Friday on local BTV. And you would have to download that streaming app from your Apple or Android phone.
And you can
Love it.
what's is the app just BTV or what is the
Local, LOCAL BTV.
okay.
But all of my media is everything is up under Kathy Blaze Jefferson. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, TikTok.
All right. Love it.
So make sure that you follow Kathy on all the social medias, so you can keep up with all of the things that she's doing. So you can keep up with her show, with any other appearances she may be having. But definitely make sure that you go out there and follow her on all the socials.
Thank
Get
you.
that that community going, because you never know when you're going to see somebody on her show, or something that you're like, oh hey, that would be a great person for me to know.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right. And and if you want to reach out and just say, "Hey," do that because I felt like I was rambling tonight.
It's all good news.
That's all
All
right.
good news. Do you have any
That's all right.
upcoming
We're okay with
gigs?
that.
I'm planning on hosting. They have the Worldwide Women's Film Festival coming in February, so I should be hosting their red carpet event on February 18th in Scottsdale.
Oh,
So
that's
I'll be
fun.
posting that on my page and on Instagram.
Hmm.
Wonderful.
What gigs do we have coming up, Felicia? Let's see. This Saturday, Three Fates Review is at their new venue, new day, new time, new everything. At the Cash at 10 p.m. I think there might be just a few tickets left. So if you're a fan of burlesque, go and get those tickets and come check it out. It should be a good time. There's all sorts of phenomenal performers, including myself.
Ooh.
Where's that located?
The Cash is on McDowell and like 16th Street ish.
Oh, okay.
It's like the Cash
Mhm.
nightclub. I think it's like, yeah, it's something like that. It's like McDowell and 16th
Okay.
Street. Yeah, thereabouts.
Yeah.
You can look for Three
And
Fates Review on Facebook and stuff, and you can find tickets there. I think I've shared the link a few times, and a few other people have too. So go find it, get some tickets, come to a good show.
Okay.
on the 22nd, I am at Magic celebrating Mia Inez Adams' birthday at
I got
Stacy's.
my ticket already.
All right. So we'll be there at 8 p.m. Make your reservations now. We're all about reservations, reservations, reservations. Um, and then on the 25th, we will be at Tempe Public Library at 6:30. So there will be no show next week. I did not.
Oh yeah, no Fifi next week, guys. No Fifi next week.
And the I had to like go digging through my email because I couldn't remember what this name was. But the name of the event is Ask Smart People Smart Questions. And then like the subtitle is Drag Culture Then and Now.
I have no idea what we're doing on this panel.
Hmm.
Me either.
And who's putting this on?
Uh,
Equality Arizona
Oh,
is putting this on. And I think one of the reasons Felicia and I got asked to do this is because I mean I've been around since forever now doing this. I'm going on almost 20 years as a drag performer. The majority of those happening in Phoenix, and all of it happening in Arizona. So I've been around since a while. We've both been around for a while.
hmm.
So, yes, we are I think we're now
oh,
considered like old school at this point.
Hmm.
January 28th, I am at Lady Christian's final show at the Rock. It is currently sold out. So if you haven't gotten tickets, SOL. But it should still be a good time. If you know me or my partner and we have like a couple of seats left at our table, if you want to come out, let us know. We'll see if we still have room. But you can come sit with
depending
us.
on who you are.
Depending on who you are. If we don't like you, no.
And then on February 11th, sex trivia at Gracie's. Come out wherever you are, because we have been just educating people the house down.
It's great. It's a good time,
I
and
feel like people were
it's
so engaged this last time. They were like, yeah, yeah, except for the guy. We did not talk about the guy that argued that
always
The
one
Simpsons has the longest LGBTQ plus character
character. Yeah,
on
no.
mainstream television. So, mm,
He said The
and even
Simpsons.
he said The Simpsons,
He said
but
it was The Simpsons because it Marge's sister has always been gay, and it's like no. You can't just no, because nothing in The Simpsons was covered until much later about that. So no, you can't just
Mm.
no, that's not how that works. You can't just be like, well, if she's gay now, then she was always gay. No, no. Oh yeah, and then there was the guy who had the mommy kink, and just oh god, there's always one, always one.
I thought he was cute.
Oh,
He was cute until
it's
he got too
crazy.
drunk.
Yeah, he was cute until he opened his mouth, and just not. We do have other guests in the dugout ready to come on board. We've got Kevin Carrier, who's a comedian, Holly Shoemaker, a photographer and artist, and Desiree DeMornay, who's the current Miss Phoenix Pride. We have a bunch of people that, in the wings as well that we're still talking to. But yeah.
Yes. Just keep your ears and eyes open for that. Thank you for joining us for your Wednesday night conversation. And a special thanks to Kathy Belays Jefferson for joining us tonight.
Thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
One day I will figure out how to put sound effects, and we will have sound effects, and Freddie will be so happy. When we first started the show, the system that we were using, Google Hangouts, had sound effects.
And then they got rid of all the sound effects, and that was annoying.
Yeah. And then,
well, when you get sound effects, invite me back. I want to hear the sound effects.
of course. Thank you all for watching live and all that watched on the replay. With more than 7K downloads on the podcast, we want to thank those that listen on the podcast as well. And we will see you not next week, but the week after that. So it'll be February when we come back.
Enjoy your week off next week. Unless you want to come down to Tempe Public Library.
Yes. So have a good week. And we will see you next time. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.